News on Vanguard Live from Dablola Ogunshaki. And here on Today in the News, we read and give in-depth analysis on some of the stories making waves across Nigeria. And it was a sad one yesterday for the Great Britain as it lost a queen, the Queen Elizabeth II of England. And of course, the death of the Queen was Thursday announced by Buckingham Palace. It marks both the loss of the revered monarch, the only one most Britons have ever known, and the end of a figure who served as a living link to the glories of World War II. Britain presided over its fitful adjustment to a post-colonial and post-imperial era and saw it through its bitter divorce from the European Union. And on April 21st, 1926, Queen Elizabeth II was born at 17 Britton Street, London, and christened on May 29 that year in the private chapel at Buckingham Palace. And on December 11, 1936, she became the heir apparent at the age of 10. And on November 20, 1947, the Queen married Navy Lieutenant Philip Mountbatten, a Greek prince at London's Westminster Abbey. They had 4 children: Prince Charles, born in 1948, Prince Anne, born in 1950, Prince Andrew, born in 1960, and Prince Edward, 1964. And on April 9, 2021, Prince Philip, the Queen's husband of 73 years, died peacefully, aged 99, at Windsor Castle. And on February 6, 2022, the Queen marked her 70th year on the throne, using the occasion to give a blessing to Charles' second wife, Camilla, being called a Queen Consort when he becomes king. The monarch was last pictured by a photographer on Tuesday at her Scottish residence, where she met with Liz Truss to invite her to become the Prime Minister. Truss and the outgoing Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, had journeyed to Scotland rather than Buckingham Palace in London because doctors had advised the Queen not to travel. Yesterday afternoon, the royal family in a statement said the Queen died peacefully. With the Queen's death, the crown passed on to His Majesty King Charles III. May the soul of Her Majesty rest in eternal peace. Now let's move on to the front pages of the dailies this morning, and I'm starting with Vanguard. Vanguard this morning is leading with PDP crisis. Governor Wike kicks as IU survives. Says Jubrin's resignation is of no effect. Reviews what IU article told him over state of party. BOT chairman Jubrin out, Wabara in. Let's resolve our problems internally. Atiku begs aggrieved members. NEC approves a campaign structure, focus on grassroots mobilization, mom on membership and leadership. You can see that story on page 5. And here on the Vanguard, we have a photo story of Queen Elizabeth II, who died at age 96 yesterday. And of course, Prince Charles becomes king. You can see that story on page 37 of Vanguard newspaper. On page 31, we have regional government system can't help Nigeria anymore. YAKASSAI or Aneze Afenifere Pandef disagree. And of course, on page 7, you can see some IDPs unwilling to return home. NEDC saying that protesting oil workers demand action against pipeline vandals. Insecurity, we have measures to ensure safety of Nigerians. That's according to President Muhammadu Buhari. On page 11, we have who will commit to robust funding of education. That's according to Peter Obi. And on page 7, DHQ confirms killing of over 200 terrorists in Bama, Sambisa Forest. Now, stories above on page 7, the DSS says warrant execution, large foreign currency, military materials recovered from Mamu's house. Nigeria in state of receivership needs serial miracles. That's coming from Aya. And on page 8, crisis looms in CCB as commissioners petition National Assembly over chairman's alleged corruption. Lawan, no going back on report of our monitoring team to Yobe Nut. That's according to INEC. Vanguard on page 19, we have UBA profit rises at 12.6% to 85.7 billion naira in first half of 2022, declares interim dividend. Now, away from Vanguard, we move to the Punch. The Punch this morning, it's leading with the United Kingdom Prime Minister Buhari, Biden, Obama, Macron, others hail Britain's longest reigning monarch as the Queen Elizabeth, for the Queen Elizabeth death at 96, Britain's mom, Charles becomes king. You can also see that on page 2 and 25. And lastly, on the front page of the Punch newspaper, we have a Lagos woman set ablaze for kidnapping babies. You can see that on page 5. Away from there, we'll move to The Guardian. The Guardian is leading with PDP. Ayu survives as NEC passes confidence votes. Wike defiant. BOT chairman Walid steps out. Wabara steps in to placate Souths. I'm not aware about Makinde's replacement of Tambua as PDP's Governors Forum Chair, says a party spokesman. Or your PDP happy with emergence of Makinde as Chairman of Party Governors Forum? Wike vows to sustain fight until Ayu exists office, says a BOT Chairman's resignation a distraction and a charade. Article wants a crisis resolved within party's constitution. You cannot destroy Rivers APC, Eze tells Wike. You can see that story on the front page and it continues on page 6. And lastly, on the front page of the Guardian newspaper, a story below, we have on page 3, court extends order stopping Buhari, NBC from shutting down broadcast stations. Now, away from there, we move to The Nation. Sees Ayu, not Jibrin, should resign, says Wike. PDP NEC passes vote of confidence in chairman. I resigned in party's interest as a BOT chair. Wabara replaces Jibrin. Charles is King of England. World leaders mourn Queen Elizabeth II. And lastly, on the front page of The Nation, we have 2023, no option to victory. Adamu tells APC members, and you can see that story on page 39 of The Nation newspaper. And that's all we have on the front pages of the dailies this morning. Join us after the break as we talk to our guest. Welcome back. If you're just joining me, this is Today in the News on Vanguard Live. I'm Dablola Okunshaki. Joining me to analyze the front pages of the dailies this morning is Mr. Ludari Mayowa, publisher, Global Financial Digest. Good morning, Mr. Mayowa.
Good morning. Glad to have you this morning.
Yes, thank you for joining us. All right, let's move straight to the front pages of the dailies this morning. And of course, the national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Senator Iyorchia Ayu, yesterday got a confidence vote after weeks of speculation about whether or not he should retain his seat. And of course, this is still in concern with the frosty relationship between Governor Wike and, of course, the presidential candidate of PDP. What do you think about this, vote of confidence that Ayu got from the party?
Thank you very much. Once again, when you look at it generally, I think it's number one is a signal that the party tried to call the bluff of Governor Wike and his group. Passing a vote of confidence on the chairman of the party, Ayu, against the background of the fact that the Wike people are calling for his resignation, so that to move on, you want to put Wike at his aside, and probably the one they are already trying to break his rank. And you can see all the scenario that was playing around Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State becoming the chairman of the PDP Governors Forum. The BOT chairman Walid resigning and being replaced by Southerners. It's an indication that they are trying to break the rank of Wike's team and trying to move on. Because, of course, the crisis is dragging so long, and if they are allowed to drag so long, it might affect their performance in next year election. And for me, that's the way I look at it.
But what do you think about, the resignation of course, of Jibrin?
Who?
Jibrin.
Yeah, that's what I just said. It's a kind of a way, it's a signal that I try to break the rank of the Southern caucus. that supported Wike's position. And the secretary of the BOT does not really, it's not really a serious body. They are like adversary. They don't have a strong hold of the party. They don't have the decision. They are not decision making body of the party. They're just like ordinarily they are like a conscience of the party, and they were needed at the crisis point, and they are not act up to the bar. No, it's just a figurehead position for me. So they don't have any particular effect. But they are trying to, in politics, you try to use your way in the breaking your opposition rank. You don't throw a meat to them, throw a chicken to them. Just something. I think for me that's the reason why we are seeing all those resignation and replacement and the rest. That's what it means. But it doesn't mean much in terms of control of the political party.
But do you think the party needs to continue without Governor Wike's Governor Wike resolving the issue with the presidential candidates?
Well, for me, as a party, as an organization, the party may not. It's not right for a party to allow one person, yes, to hold them to ransom. Yes, Wike is a very strong force in the party. Yes, Wike loss to the party might cause them some shock on the vote for the South. Yes, the impeachment is very grievous on the party. But the question is, what do you want the party to do? Do you want them to remain? Campaign will start 28th of this month. If they don't make progress, that one will even cost them more, because now they can't read. They don't know where it's aligning, and they are trying to gamble. I mean, for me, what they are doing is to gamble, weigh the option before them. Losing Wike, how much will it come? If they are going to wait for Wike, will they be able to wait it back to themselves? And the option for them is to say, okay, let's have the consequence, let's call his bluff, let's move on, and probably double our activities to ensure that we cover some ground to make for it's an opportunity cost for them, really. So that's what I mean. That's what the party is looking at. And you can't blame the party. Organization have to move forward. If they are serious in winning election, they have to weigh their option, they have to take the gamble, they have to take the risk, and I think that's what they are doing.
The Rivers governor has vowed to sustain the fight for the return of a LD party structure that will allow an even representation of the interests of both the North and the South in the national leadership of the party, insisting that IU must go. It's saying this based on the fact that the presidential candidate is from the North, and also IU is from the North.
At this point in time, probably my advice for UK is that we're going to slow down. It seems he's losing out in the PDP right now, and that's exactly the picture. Because for the vote of confidence is to tell him a signal that the party want to move forward, they want to move beyond this step, and he's losing out. And sometimes when you fight, you strategize, you retreat, and re-examine your position in light of the prevailing circumstances. And that's what Wike he's not been strategic in his fight for the party. Yes, he has a leverage to cause them some damage. But again, you have to look at it holistically. How much damage can Wike team cause to PDP? So the PDP people want to waste their option, the risk involved, and they're trying to move forward that no man can hold them to ransom. UK has a point, as a position is very valid, but in politics, it's compromise. Take and give. Give and take is a game of the politics. And for UK to come to be recalcitrant in pursuing his position without looking back, he may be the loser at the end of the day. And if he works against the party, I'm sure the party may try to raise some crisis within the Rivers political team and break his rank, and they may be able to reduce the impact of his working against the party by doing something about it. The party is a whole, and Wike is like a personality. And in politics, you can even your best friend today might be your best friend tomorrow. If they throw some camp, now don't forget that Makinde has a stake. He's contesting for second term, so he will waste option to continue to fight or to remain in the political party. Don't forget the other people who are supportive, like Autumn Benechu has a stake. He want to go to Senate. successor of the party. So he will rather weigh the option too. He will say, will I come to fight and do everything on my own part, or will I want to align with the party and see keep my relevance? So these are the options the other people will be weighing, and eventually we get my lose out in the scheme of politics in PDP. So I would advise him probably to slow down, to re-strategize, and look at other options that can favor him, so that he can retain his relevance beyond 2023 in PDP.
All right, First Republic politician and elder statesman Tanko YAKASSAI yesterday said, reverting to a regional system of government has been clamored for, can no longer help the Nigerian system, given the current precarious situation with the country has found itself in. What do you think about this statement coming from YAKASSAI?
Yeah, YAKASSAI, everybody trying to examine the way forward. What's the way forward? When you talk about restructuring means so many things to many people. When you say reverting to regional government, for me too, I don't see that really working out. Are you saying we should go back to Western region, Eastern region, Northern region? That's 3 regions and Western, Midwest, so to say. Within the conclave of the South Side, for example, there's no unity. There's no bond of leadership. And don't forget, you already created a structure of governors in each state and also assembly in this state. This structure has to give way. For example, you have to collapse the Lagos State House Assembly because the governors to go on your state, Osun State, Ekiti State, Ondo State, and all the rest that Ogun State have to go. Then you have one structure like a federal to the Western region. Those who have been enjoying the political office in Lagos, Ogun State, for example, will not support such move because it will take them out of the benefit they are enjoying. So when you look at it, I tend to agree with him that regional structure may not work for this nation because we have moved fast over time from that position. What I would probably advise that we strengthen the existing state structure in the sense that, for example, in the Western region, the state within that region or geopolitical zone can cooperate, that can form a confederacy, can form an alliance that can make them to develop jointly to help themselves. Where I could agree with that one. But putting down the structure we have today will cause more headache, more pain. Because people will say complain we are having about Nigeria, some people have been neglected, will happen. For example, you have if we take the Western region, for example, we have the Western region's headquarters in Ibadan. And we elect somebody from your state or Lagos State to be regional premier or whatever we want to name it. It's tendency for them to favor people within their zone. And for people in far Osun, far Ekiti or Ondo, feel neglected and start agitating again. So that's what will happen. But strengthen the structure we have now, strengthen local government structure which is nearer to the people, and ensure that you have a financial restructuring whereby each local government control their resources and pay tax to the federal government. This one will be a way forward where people now begin to take government seriously, and we remove ourselves from depending on oil resources, whereby everybody will work to develop tax and other resources in their own locality to generate resources to develop their region or geopolitical zone. I think for me that is the option that is better for Nigeria today.
All right, I would like you to really talk about this, and that's what Babatunde Fashola is saying. He said he faulted the call for restructuring, and insisted that a lot of work still needs to be done. He says our democracy is delivering solutions to problems that seem to have default solutions, like a road and bridge network to Bonny Island, like the second Niger Bridge and the construction of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, Enugu-Onitsha Expressway, Kano-Maiduguri Expressway, and an extensive broadband rollout nationwide. So in other words, it's saying, our democracy, that they've delivered an interstate train service. So it's saying that democracy is working because, they've delivered these services, including, telephone services for many Nigerians. But, can we say just this is what we need to, really determine whether the democracy in the country is really working?
No, I disagree completely with Fashola on those premises. That you're building bridges, you are building trains, you are. But I can say it's not a symbol of democracy. Democracy is the involvement of the people in their government and how they are governed. And that's what structure is all talking about. How people are involved in governance. For example, Abuja is so far to people in Lagos, in Ebonyi, in Makurdi, in Bayelsa, and the rest. And people want to be involved. And people are alienated from the center, from participatory democracy. That's why we have people who want to become, want to contest the election today, want to become a senator. You need billions of naira to contest that election. And that's the problem of our democracy. Local government administration that you can work with your local government and people knows you, they know you there, and they see their work. They can vote for you on merit without you bribing them. That's what we are talking about. I'm very showcasing a bridge for the island, Lagos Ibadan Expressway. At what cost to the economy? How fair are we in this government 7 years ago and now? People are suffering today because of the Islamic government borrowing the future away. So this is what democracy we are talking about. It's not that you are building roads. What is the essence of those roads you are building? As long as I enhance my standard of living, that I cannot buy food and feed my family 3 times in a day. Democracy is supposed to provide food on the table for families. That's the essence of democracy. Not that you are building structure, you are borrowing money to build structure, you are building trade that many people are not benefiting from. It doesn't serve their purpose. How does it enhance the economic factor of every individual? These are what we are talking about, democracy. Democracy is supposed to enhance our welfare. People are supposed to be talking about democracy and they feel that their life is better every year than it used to be last year. That was the essence of democracy. Government is about people. It's about building structure. It's when you build people that cannot talk about structure. Our education have been. We look at universities today have been on strike. They are not in school for over 6 months now. And what is the cost to our future development? What is the future for the manpower development? What is the future for for the future of this country? So these are things that democracy ought to have addressed. Insecurity is all over the place. People are being killed every day. People cannot travel from one state to the other or fear of being kidnapped. So we can't begin to showcase all these infrastructure development that does not mean anything to people. Does not enhance the standard of living. Does not enhance your security, empowerment. So that's what democracy is. Fashola is playing politics, and they are because this era of politics. We are looking to 2023 election, and that's what Fashola is doing. So I don't agree with him. Why people are using for instruction that they want to participate in governance, how they are governed. Not that a bunch of people every 4 years they bring billions of money and bribe people to vote for them, and they begin to make the economy dry, and they cut all the position for them. You have in Lagos, for example, you have the wife of the president candidate as a senator. You have his son controlling the outdoor advertisement. You have the daughter controlling the market. You have his surrogate controlling all the places, or the structure of the country. So, where is the place of the people? Is the life of people in Lagos better than it would be in 1999? These are the questions we need to be asking. And these are the questions the democracy is supposed to answer. Not that people say you are building road, you are building a co-Atlantic, you are building this, you are building that. How does that enhance employment generation? And people are not employed. So what are we talking about? So I don't agree with you.
Months to the end of President Muhammadu Buhari's government, he assured Nigerians that the security agencies would continue to ensure that all appropriate measures were in place for the safety of Nigerians. On Tuesday, he urged the citizens to believe in the capability of the armed forces to safeguard and bring long-lasting peace and stability to the country. What do you think about the president's statement?
Very laughable, and for me it's too late for that assurance. And it has been a pattern, a trend in this country when election is coming. Look at when the Jonathan era too. He has to postpone the election so that he can accelerate fight against security without the tension, so that he can win the election. I've seen that it shows that there is possibility that the government has hand in the security, what is going on in this country, either for corruption purposes, that they are stealing the money through allocation to security. Because if not, 7 years you have been in power, the whole place was in ramp, and few want to go ramp up activities and bombing the whole place. What have they been doing? What are the security people have been doing all these years? What have they been doing? So it's, for me, it's like a trend as an indication that